Greetings, grandmasters, brethren of the craft, sisters of the chapters, all of whom I consider to be colleagues in this great and interesting journey. Um, what we like to refer to as the quest for knowledge, on which we are all united. I am Master Williams, and this morning, this Saturday, the 16th March 2024, hailing from the Illinois Lodge of Research under the most worshipful Grand Lodge of ancient free and accepted Masons, the state of Illinois jurisdiction. And with that being said, I'm not um, discussing politics nor religion, nothing more than my opinion, actually. And, you know, to make a disclaimer, I'm not standing in, so to speak, for the fraternity or for Freemasonry, nor either brother nor sister in terms of reference or association um, with regard to the organization of the Brotherhood, Universal Brotherhood. Rather, just giving my own opinion. And interestingly, just a day or so ago, while I was on a property, a commercial property, where there was construction going on, um, and I was as well identified as I am currently wearing a lanyard that we consider as Freemasons, those of us who are Freemasons, um, regalia, and it was just in addition to my uniform. Um, it was not a Masonic affair, Freemasonic affair, and I'm gonna have to put my cup here. Actually, no, maybe I don't. Either way, I was on this job, uh, and I was analyzing the measurements through the calculations that had been scientifically applied to this structure, so that it would fit in the grand scale of the entire uh, campus. And somebody, I was not looking, I was busy, but I heard a voice ask, "Is that a light hanging around your neck?" From from a lanyard I have here. I might have to actually put my cup to the side just momentarily. Um, at the end of my lanyard here, hanging on the end of it, is a membership, my photo ID. All right, the Brotherhood has my number, etc. All those things. And then on the other side, it's some other information. If this card is lost, to return it to the nearest Masonic lodge, or to contact Kent Duke Masonic Grand Lodge, etc., etc. And it's signed by our Masonic coordinator, Brother Jordan Dempsey. So I ignored the question. I heard the sound. It was rather in my background. It wasn't face to face with sound, particularly. And again, I heard, "Sir, is that a light, a hanging, from around your neck, something like that?" And I ignored it totally, and very quickly, that question discontinued to sound out into my hearing, my eardrum. But I made a point inside of my own thought process to remember that experience, to present it as a shared experience for moments just like these. The reason why is because I want to share my personal opinion about the use of jargon in Freemasonry. We use it in Masonic intercourse between brothers, and for those like myself who are also worthy patrons, between patrons, matrons, or the chapters and the lodge. Um, I um, I understand there's ways we talk. We use words, codes, like as above, so below, or meet upon the level of equality, act by the plumb of uprightness, and part upon the square of virtues, or who will help the widow's son, um, or we say the light. Every Mason is charged to spread Masonic light, etc. And these words, since they are words that we use terminally as short form or as code for symbolic, ritualistic reasons, rather, in my opinion, um, can also too often be confused by those outside the fraternity as open philosophies that one in general can feel free to endeavor upon, frankly, visit upon someone else, even if it so happens to be a Freemason. And this is the feeling or the essence that I processed, so to speak, when I heard that question, even if it was directed to me or if it wasn't, because I'm a Freemason. I've been sent for 25 years now. Um, what I want to say is, when you hear someone refer to um, the Masonry or Freemasonry in any context, and they use that word light, unless you are a Freemason, unless you are a Mason, you are, if it's to me, you're going to be interpreted as if you were asking for electricity, a simple switch of a light, perhaps a lantern, something we may need to use a match to light, right? If we can't flip a switch, right? Or go to the circuit breaker and flip a switch, turn the lights off, turn the lights on, which we would be really talking about the electricity, turning the electricity off, right? And lights is more of, even then, a secondary term. So hopefully you hear this and you don't, moving forward, assume that the term light is a, a primary term, especially when you expect to journey or travel in philosophy with the brother of the craft, and you are not a Mason or Freemason. All right, um, because it's symbolic anyway, right? When we say the light, we're talking about something. We are not at that point ready to, profess, for example, a Ph.D. And talk a full scale of conversational measure all about L-I-G-H-T, like the way you spell it. Of course, by sound, it could also have been L-I-T-E, like a lesser manner or a lesser intensity. Uh, as we would be grocery shopping, you want full, you know, um, homogenized milk, or if you want a lighter brand, skim milk or something, you could do a lighter load, L-I-T-E, or Michelob light, something like that. Anywho, if you look at natural light, the beer, the alcohol, uh, the beverage, excuse me, um, it's spelled with the L-I-G-H-T. So you can't take what you hear, or you know take what's in the correspondence circle, even though it consists as well as members as well as non-members, um, as a linear scope that's going to transpose across the correspondence circle over into the members, right? And so the correspondence circle is a part of the Quarter Coronati Lodge number 2076, which is the world premier Masonic Lodge of research, from which all other research lodges have come. And so uh, when somebody asks, and this is my advice, go freely, do what you want, obviously, to my brethren. Uh, is that a light you're wearing? If they're referring to a piece of regalia, it could be a ring, it could be a T-shirt, because they're not talking about those items. They're not talking about, reference of a T-shirt. They're not talking about cotton or silk or rayon, whatever it's made of. They're talking about the Masonic emblem that is on it. And many will say to it, is that a light? And what I would do is have to break it down componentially to them. What actually it is it symbolically a light. But what this realistically, literally is a compass, a square, and a G or a plum. Now, all the organizations have different symbols that they use where there is uh, the uh, the letter G, right? And they've different interpretations or translations rather for it. So for some, that translation about what is in the middle of the compasses on the square could be the grand architect of the universe. It could be geometry. It could be enlightenment or something else. It depends on what the actual item or image is. Uh, in the case of the emblem that is on my ID card, it's a letter G, which we also refer to as the plum, and we've a meaning for that, or reason, a purpose, as well as installed within us, to to guide us. And so when somebody asks, "Is that a light?" That a light singular. It's not lights with an S on the end, which would be plural. It's singular. I would very, very quickly, frankly, have to deliberate with onto him or her. It's not a light, right? It's a componential. It's a series of instrument or walking tools here. One of them is the compasses. It is separate in symbolism. Separately also is the square. And separately also is the plum. So definitely it's not a light. Rather, that light is a jargon. It's a word that we use for sure. It's a terminology that we understand in Masonic intercourse among the brethren in the craft. They are all those who are in the craft already understand this enough to understand where we're coming from. In case we're all from different rights or obediences, we know enough in the craft to understand or how to get along into Masonic intercourse and to perform it appropriately. However, those who are not in the fraternity have not learned these or symbolism of the working tools of the craft are going to try to use those words very vaguely and assume that it's going to be a way to somehow get into the philosophy of Freemasonry or the philosophy of Masonic education, rather. And I would hope no member of the fraternity would allow that to elude the subject at study in our fraternity, um, which is going to kind of bounce or abacus metaphorically between faith, hope, and charity. Um, because our tenets are going to continue to stand, whether it is a lie or not, in all symbolism and truth. Um, and again, with even the exclusion of the discussion of politics or religion, into the craft, we certainly we're going to talk about the ritual. So, I wanted to share that. I assumed the question was to me because of past personal experiences and my knowledge of jargon and Freemasons typically or regularly using which is might be slightly ironic to even label it as jargon. I'm probably walking a thin line even referring to it as jargon, but I want to make this broadcast comfortable for general audiences, and so I want to address it in quite a commercial, professional way. As I also am a commercial radio personality, and I'm a broadcast journalism major in college. So being online and broadcasting is not, strange field to me or foreign environment. whereas it might be for others who are just being entertained and just enjoying using social media or your device or what have you. You've got us professionals who really work in the zone, if you will, of being on the camera in front of it, not behind it. And then there's others in the same profession who are working behind the camera and not in front of it. So I'm one who likes to be in front of it. As a music producer, a music recording artist, I am played on the local public radio, commercial radio, Blazing 102.3, Accumulus Media, under the Techniguard DJs, DJ A1, and the Techniguard Radio, and so so on and so on. I've been an entertainer for a long time, entrepreneur. So either way we look at it, I want to make sure this is something enjoyable for all or any audience, and not just something that I would be directing to Freemasons or non-Freemasons or etc. So yes, the lights, but you've still got to be very careful. And Freemasons already are aware of this, and some of them are probably, and when I say them, I mean non-Freemasons, are probably just assuming that because we're all human beings, there's just no real need, or you can turn that switch on and turn that switch off, and just use words freely, and you can't, in my opinion, make that choice for the other person. That person might very well, as I was, um, be very concentrated on being a Freemason and Freemasonry and what it has in store for me life, and those of them of the craft along with me as well, from the first degree to the 33rd. And so um, when you hear the light, I would say if someone asks you with the light, is that a light you're wearing? That's the way they're going to approach it. Um, which I frankly think there's a better way to just introduce yourself, such identify who you are. Um, then you can understand where the person's um, degree is coming from, that which attracts you to that person in the first place, regardless of what they're wearing. Um, be it Masonic regalia or not. Whatever it is that gets your attention, you could understand better if you actually have a part in what it is you're actually you're trying to suggest or or uh, discuss. Again, the light, when it talks about the light, put me cup to the side here again. Um, the light, for that moment of the light, it's here. See when my thumb can come up where it can't. Maybe I can use my finger. This is of the question: is that a light? This is the answer. This is a compass. This is a compasses, and this is a square, and this is a G or a plum, if you want to call it. But that is the way I will answer that question, and I highly in the belief that most regular Freemasons or Masons, I mean, who are attending and really participating all the time. I'm not talking about difference in bogus or clandestine or regular. I mean, regular as in consistency and participation, which means you'll be proficient enough to have heard of more than one version of how to break it down. Um, would answer or not be very far away from that answer that I just gave, unless they would, like me, so to speak, would deem that person probably not truly a member of the fraternity, and just decide to explain it, if at all, in a totally different way. But if it was somebody who really is an experienced member of the fraternity, of course, you would not probably even necessarily have to be the one to initially explain it that way. You could get into it later on and further into the conversation, because you have a different mode to listen with, a different modality, or different correspondence altogether. And that could come up at any point in time, because that's a part of basic things we learn in the Blue Lodge. We're out here these days, most of us have been in the fraternity for a long while in the Grand Lodge. And independent bodies, Masonic societies and organizations. So, that question comes, is that light? It's kind of like, well, you probably haven't even, been introduced to Freemasonry at all. Because obviously, if you're talking about this emblem, you're talking about light. But in any event, you're just not specifying it as an emblem when you say it, even if you are in the fraternity, because it's a symbolic light. The reference light is symbolic, and so to have that understanding, you need not have collaborated with another human being whatsoever. You have only to have had your own individual experience as an initiated Freemason to understand what light, in terms of the word, literally, is in Freemasonry or in fraternal terms. So, with that said, when we on the level of equality, act by the plumb of uprightness and par upon the square of virtues, until we meet again. Good day, mate.